Hi Mario, hope you're doing well. We're going to go ahead and take a look at the videos you sent me for your second lesson here. Want to start out by making just some general observations of your swing here on the face-on view, and then I want to get into those specific questions that you asked me to cover in your email. First of all, I think we need to talk a little bit about your setup here and how it's affecting your golf swing. You've got, and I know this camera angle may be slightly off, but it is still pretty telling with what's going on with your setup here. You've got way too much of your weight forward on your left leg here. If you'll remember, stack and tilt prescribes about 55% of your weight on your forward leg or on your left leg at address. That weight distribution will increase incrementally to the top of your backswing to about 60%. It's player dependent, but just roughly that's the model. Looking at your setup here, I would say that you've got probably close to 70% of your weight left here, and this creates a problem. The biggest problem that I see happening is that we talked a lot about in your last lesson how you are not able to get into sort of a leftward tilt in the backswing, and that your head raises up and you have to break your spine angle to get to the top of your backswing. Just marking the position of your head here, and I'm going to use Grant weight as a comparison here to just show you what I'm talking about. But basically, because your lower center, the center of your hips, your lower axis, I kind of define it as, say, your belt buckle is too far forward already at address, it's hard for you to get into a leftward lateral side bend. And what I mean by that is I'm just simply going to put a line here on your spine. Let's say that right there represents your spine. Well, as you know, in the backswing, the spine tilts to the left. We call this lateral flexion as your torso turns and extends. So again, we left tilt, turn, and extend simultaneously. And effectively what's happening is that your forward tilt, which is the amount that you're bent over at address, leaning forward, is replaced by a leftward tilt as your shoulders turn. Okay? Now it's imperative to note the rate with which these three things happen. And again, those three things are turning, tilting, left tilting, and extending in the backswing. Those three things have to happen incrementally, and they have to happen the same amount. If one of those things happens at a quicker rate or happens more than one of the other things, the head will move and the upper axis will not be stable. For example, if you just turn your shoulders to the left, or in the backswing faster than you left tilt and extend, your upper axis will move backwards, which means your low point will move backwards, creating a situation where we're hitting the ground before the golf ball. So again, to initiate the backswing, we need to be able to left tilt, turn, and extend. That keeps the upper axis stable, and it helps us control the low point of the golf swing. Well, because you have so much weight forward at address, and because you have your lower axis, your belt buckle or your tailbone, whichever you choose to use, too far forward, you can't get into a leftward lateral side bend to initiate the backswing. So the first thing I want you to do to fix this setup position is I want the pelvis slightly moved back. So if I had to draw sort of lines here, and I know this is a little bit difficult to do, but let's say that right there would represent where I would want your hips to be. And then from here, I'd like to see your legs more within those lines. So if you look at Grant weight here on the left, put lines down here, again, lines down here, you're going to see that when he makes his backswing, his hips will move within those lines, and his head will not move. Your head will move considerably. And here we go with your swing. club starts away. Left shoulder starts to work on a downward trajectory, but then it can't go down any further because you have your pelvis too far to the left, too close to the target. From there, you have to stand up, and what I mean by stand up is you have to break your spine angle and stand up to complete your shoulder turn. Look at how far your head has raised up and moved out of that circle. Again, the pelvis is too far forward. You've actually, if you look at your butt here, you've actually crossed this line just a little bit at the top of the backswing. Again, take a look on the right here at Grant. You'll notice left shoulder trajectory working down. Hips are staying very, very centered between those lines. And the head is absolutely not moving. Has not moved. From there, Grant is in a position to engage a lateral hip slide, which is going to reverse the order that the spine worked in the backswing. So in the backswing, we are left tilting, turning, and extending. On the downswing, we're doing the exact opposite. We move back into forward flexion, which is the position that you should be in right now. And you'll notice you've got a lot of axis tilt here. Because the hips are so far forward, let me remove some of these lines. When you reach impact, you've got a lot of secondary axis tilt or spine tilting away from the target. That is way too much to have for a 6-iron. Your lower center, your belt buckle is too far forward too soon. That's basically the nutshell of the problems with your golf swing right now. You're moving back into lateral flexion. You have to, and that lateral flexion would be a rightward tilt, so you can see how your spine is tilting to the right. You're actually tilting too much to the right because the lower axis is too far forward. But again, the downswing is the exact opposite upper body sequence than the backswing. We should be right tilting, turning, and extending in the follow through. Well, you're right tilting, there's no question about that. You're turning, but you're not extending. And what I mean by extending is your head should stay down for a longer period of time because you are maintaining a rightward tilt. And I'll show you this again from a down the line view, which will make it a little bit more easier to understand. But taking a look at Grant here, you'll see the hip slide at impact. Where's the head? It hasn't moved. The upper axis is absolutely stable. And then after impact, you'll see the head begin to rise. Again, your motion, your head is way back from where it started at address. Then the head begins to rise. Notice how the arms are not straight. And the arms are not straight because the head is moving so far forward. If the head were on a wall, and I'll just draw a line here to sort of illustrate that. Imagine that your head was on a pole right here. If it stayed on that pole, these arms, see how straight the arms are now? The arms would be straight in the follow through, but because the head pops up so quickly and we break the spine angle, we now have a lot of bend in these arms. Okay? Now why is it important to keep the arms straight? Well, we want the arms to stay straight because it maintains the radius of our circle, of our swing arc. And that's how we're going to consistently strike the... Okay, Mario, here we are down the line. What I want to address here, I know we've covered a lot already. I don't want to give you too much, overload you with too much information, but I definitely want to address this again. This is the same thing that I talked about in your last lesson, and I want to give you maybe some help, some drills or some help to start fixing this piece. This is directly related to what I just finished discussing with you about your weight being too far forward at address. Okay, and this relates to the shoulder turn, the trajectory of the shoulders, the steepness that the shoulders should turn on, and it just gives us a little bit better view here of looking down the line. So again, the hallmark of stack and tilt is being able to hit the ground in the same spot every time, and we do that through a stable axis and stable inclination. And what I mean by that is, you know, when you take your posture here, you're establishing your relationship to the ball, and you're establishing your relationship to the ground, how much you're bent over here at address. And I've drawn a line here that basically represents your spine angle, and I've drawn a couple other lines here, but just want to play this through for you really quick so you can kind of see what's happening. Notice how right off the bat, the left shoulder doesn't necessarily work down, it starts working around, and the hands are moving out away from the body. The butt of the club is moving out away from your thighs, okay? Stack and tilt is described in basically 10 key words. Those 10 key words are weight forward, shoulder down, hands in, straight arms, tuck hips, okay? Well, you've got the first 2 key words. You've got weight forward, that's for sure. But the rest of it is where we're missing it. The next 2 key words are shoulder down, and what we mean by that is we want the shoulder working on a steeper downward trajectory. At the same time, we want the hand path to be moving inward. From right here, butt of the club moves inward, about 20 degrees inside the stance line there. And again, the stance line would be right here, where your feet are. So we're looking for about 20 degrees of inward trajectory of your hands and arms, okay? That inward motion does, you know, many things. Number one, it's a power source. Number 2, it allows the club to come from the inside, more on the inside on the downswing, which produces that rightward club path that we're looking to have to be able to hit draws. But again, shoulder down, hands in is the piece that you're missing. And if I'm going to go ahead and take you here to where you basically have the shaft parallel to the ground, probably about right there, okay? And I have Aaron Badley here on the right. I'll use him as a model because I believe that at this time in his life, when Mike and Andy were working with him, he was the absolute model for this golf swing and did it probably better than anybody that has ever done it. So notice the butt of the club moving inward, left shoulder working downward, and here we have him at about parallel to the ground, and you can see that the club head is actually breaking up and working right through his hands, okay? You can see how much more the left arm is versus yours. A drill that you can do is I can have you place a tee right here under this armpit so that you feel connection. You feel your left bicep hugging or moving in across your left pec. That will let you know that your hands and arms are moving inward on an arc. Okay, so you can hit balls with that tee or a glove or anything like that. I like tees better than gloves because gloves you can cheat a little bit. But stick a tee under that left arm and really feel that left arm coming in tight across your chest. Okay, that will sort of correct the hands in piece. I think the shoulder trajectory will be fixed when we back your weight up a little bit and don't put so much weight forward and don't have your pelvis so far forward set up. I think that will help you get into a lateral flexion or a leftward side bend a little bit easier, and that will help you get a steeper, more downward shoulder trajectory in the backswing. Weight forward, shoulder down, hands in, straight arms is the next 2 key piece, and I don't necessarily see you with an issue with straight arms. But if we get you to the top of the backswing here, I want you to notice how your shoulders are turning very flat. They're not turning 90 degrees perpendicular to your spine angle. The head has to raise to complete the backswing. See how it's moved out of the box? And here you are at the top of your backswing. And I've already kind of pre-drawn lines there. But again, you can see where your spine angle was initially. And you can see that I've now drawn a line across your shoulders. And you can see that those shoulders are not turning perpendicular to that spine. Okay? I'm going to give you a drill for that as well. If you take a look at Aaron Badley here on the right, all the way to the top of his backswing. Here we are. Shoulders are turning absolutely beautifully. Very perpendicular to his spine angle. His head is still what we call on the wall, on that line just forward of his hat there. Not a lot of head moving at all. As we move back down into impact, see the hips pushing forward. The hips are beginning to open, taking him all the way to impact. And you can see the point I want to make for you here is that the shoulders are again going to turn on the same trajectory, 90 degrees perpendicular to his spine angle in the through swing, but yet his head remains on the wall. Again, what I mean by on the wall is picture you hitting golf balls with your head pressed up against the wall, and that head doesn't move off of that wall. It doesn't back away, in this direction from that wall. So that's one of the drills that I want you to do. You don't need a golf club for it. Get there in your house, take your golfing posture, tilt forward, and put your head up against the wall. And I want you to make back swings and through swings all the way to finish where you feel that your head stay in contact with that wall until the very end of your finish. It's okay for the head to pop off the wall just a little bit. But I want you being, on that wall all the way through the impact interval, just past impact, and keeping those arms absolutely straight. So if we look at your downswing plane, you never really regain flexion, reestablish your posture, because look at how much higher your head is than where it was at address. At address, you were confined within that box, but you've sort of backed away from the wall. You can see the gap here between your head and, your head and the wall, and your head is still raised up, which tells me that you have not maintained a stable inclination. Your posture is now very erect, very upright. So again, drills for you to do. There's a couple of them. Number one, I like the head on the wall drill. I think it makes a ton of sense. If you feel like you need to hit golf balls, what you can do is take sort of some alignment rods and stick them in the ground right here behind you, and then back your tailbone sort of up to that alignment rod, and you should be able to make a full swing without coming off of that alignment rod. Notice how far you are away from it. And there'll be a little bit of distance there, but if I do the same thing for Badley, he's in contact with it the entire time. Okay? If you're able to maintain your tush line and keep your butt up against that alignment rod, then you know that your spine angle, your inclination is not going to be changing, because at address, you're touching it. Okay? I hope this helps you. Again, just to recap, number one, the weight was way too far forward. I'm looking for 55% of the weight forward at address and gradually increasing to about 60% forward at the top of your backswing. Okay? So lastly here, just want to cover with you the weight distribution in detail so you kind of have these checkpoints. Again, at address, 55% of the weight forward or on the left leg. At the top of the backswing, we're looking to only have about 60% of our weight forward. Okay? When the left arm reaches parallel to the ground, about right here in the downswing, 70% would be the checkpoint. When the shaft reaches parallel to the ground, at this point we're looking for about 80% of the weight on the left side, and then at impact, roughly 90% of our weight on our left leg at impact, and then into the follow through and finish, we're looking for 95.5. Okay, so that's a quick overview of the weight distribution. I hope that helps you. Give me a call if you have any questions. Talk to you soon.